also think it's way too soon to call the AI boom a bubble, but I think at some point in the next 6 months, people are going to be opening up the newspaper, they're going to be opening up the front page of whatever news site they rely on, maybe Twitter, Instagram, and the phrase AI bubble is going to be all over the news because the big tech companies are spending so much on chips, GPUs, and so much on data centers, the infrastructure, that spending is running way ahead of revenue. So a couple data points. One, the information reports that OpenAI is projected to lose $5 billion this year. Meta and Google are spending tens of billions of dollars on AI infrastructure. That's both the chips and the data centers. And if you listen to what the CEOs are saying, they are practically telegraphing that they are spending, quote, too much on AI for the time being. Here's Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Alphabet, quote, "One way to think about it is when you go through a curve like this, the risk of underinvesting is dramatically greater than the risk of overinvesting," end quote. Mark Zuckerberg, quote, "I'd much rather overinvest in AI and pay for that outcome than save money by developing more slowly," end quote. What these guys are saying is, hey, investors, don't punish us for spending too much money on AI. Please don't punish us. We are trying to spend too much. We are trying to overinvest. Overinvesting AI is good for technology. It's good for pulling the future forward. So I think we are in the early innings of something that will reveal itself to be a kind of AI bubble. It doesn't mean that AI is a joke. It doesn't mean that generative AI can't do stuff. I think it's more like, if crypto was money in search of a use case, people are going to say in the next few months that AI is like a use case in search of money. We don't have a business model yet that we can match to the promise of artificial intelligence. And as a result, I think we're going to be talking a lot more about the potential bubble of AI, the bubble of AI spending, and that's going to have some really interesting implications for the big tech giants, NVIDIA and Meta and Amazon, OpenAI, Microsoft, and it could also have really big implications for the stock market as well, because really in the last few months, the stock market has basically depended on these big AI spending companies in order to move forward. What happens when all those companies draw back? We might be beginning to see the answer to that question.
So on a scale of 1 to NFT, how high is the concern level?
So again, I want to distinguish between NFTs, which I was sort of academically interested in, but I kind of thought were a joke that wouldn't do anything and would entirely crash and burn.
Which is what happened.
Which I think is, a semi-objective way of describing what happened. Whereas with AI, I think it's more like when you think about the NASDAQ bubble of the late 90s, early 2000s. The NASDAQ declined by, at some point, like 60, 70, 80%, maybe more in the early 2000s in the dot-com bubble. That didn't mean that dot-com was a bubble. The internet ate the world. Software ate the world. All of these ideas, like, pets.com, I rely on delivery of everything involving my dog, whether it's the food or the toys. I get all of that stuff from, Amazon and other, pet delivery services. So it's not as if these ideas were NFT-like failures. Rather, in a way, they were ahead of their time. And you needed a bubble and a crash before you had an infrastructure built to really grow the market. I think it's much more likely that something like that is what we see. I'm not predicting anything like the dot-com crash, by the way, which entirely wiped out the NASDAQ. I think it's more that we've seen this enormous swarm of enthusiasm into artificial intelligence, that there's going to be a significant correction between right now, I think it's already happening now, and the next 12 months, and then the real AI boom, like the real software boom between, say, 2007 and 2020, is going to come in the next few years.
Everything you laid out before you said that last part reminded me of that early 2000s internet thing, because I was there for that, and it was exactly the same, where it was clearly this life-changing thing is coming. All these big companies are spending a bunch of money trying to get in there, and it's a cart before the horse classic, you know. But yeah, the pets.com is the perfect analogy. It was a great idea. It just, the world and the internet wasn't ready for the idea yet, but the idea was the right idea. I remember when I had my old sportsman column before I went to ESPN, and I was writing for Digital City Boston, right? And it was, AOL had all these digital cities, and they were like, we're going to be the first digital news place, and needless to say, it didn't work.